Good afternoon. I'm back with Karmen Fossen, my good friend, bookkeeper extraordinaire, accountant extraordinaire, and friendship extraordinaire. How would you like to introduce yourself, Carmen?
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have an accounting firm in Rocky Mountain House, so I'm quite happy to be out here. I lived in Daysland for a while, as you know, because you bought my place. Um, so yeah, I work at home. Um, I'm not sure. Is there something else you want to know, Linda?
We've been friends and worked together for a long time,
Yeah.
and I perceive that we will continue to do that, even though I'm out of the accounting world for a long time. That Carmen is a wealth of knowledge. And so, especially now that I'm out of the world, she every so often pulls me back into knowing what's going on in that world and keeping up to date. Carmen, when we were talking earlier, you were talking about QuickBooks Online, and we're picking on QBO just because many ways it's friendlier to the average bookkeeper, average business owner than some of the other programs. It's sort of a middle of the road. It's not really, really tiny. It's not big. So we're kind of picking on it. But one of the things that Quick QBO does for owners or the people in the office, it tracks your accounts receivable and what you need to collect. And it allows you to collect that money in many different ways. Do you want to expound on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, I'll just use myself as an example. So, in the end of the month, I send out all my invoicing. I give them the option to pay e-transfer or by credit card. They can also pay by PayPal now, I believe. I know they can. And or they can pay by check, whichever. But I find that having all those different ways to pay, I get paid faster, and other businesses do too. Once I've set people up on those particular pay items, they're just absolutely amazed because you send it, and sometimes I was paid before I finished my billing, so it's a nice option for people. Most people like, not everyone, but most like to pay online so they don't have to be running to the bank and standing in line for half an hour, 45 minutes to pay all their bills. Others enjoy that, so that's fine. I don't. I want to get my bills paid and be done with it. And I pay everything online, and I like getting paid online because it's in my account soon as that. And as credit cards, people, oh, it takes 5 days. Not with QuickBooks Online. I got paid by credit card on Friday. I had the money this morning, and this is a long weekend too. So, yeah, 2 days. Sometimes the next day depends on. So, yeah,
So I've
there's
often, yeah,
multiple ways.
yeah, sorry. I've often heard, oh, I don't want to take credit cards because you have to pay a fee, a percentage for that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to pay a fee for it. But you know what? I got that money's in my account already. So I pay whatever 3% or whatever they take for a fee on that particular credit card. Doesn't matter. I got my money. I include that. I don't include that in your bill necessarily, but I include that when I look at what I'm going to bill out every month. Some of these are going to pay by credit card and some aren't. So I'm going to try to, make it up. But I don't worry about it. If the credit card charges are more than I thought they were going to be, not a big deal because the money is in my account. That's all I care about. I got paid. I don't have to chase anybody. I don't have somebody sitting in 90 days because they don't have the money, like the actual cash. They used their credit card, paid me, and now it's a credit card's problem.
Right.
So I'm happy it's in there. I'll take credit cards all day long. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I know I was the same way, right? Like
yeah.
just pay it. Making that phone call, it's awkward to say, gee, you've hit 60 or you've hit 90. That's an awkward phone call. I don't know why they owed us the money, but to me it was always awkward to do that. And so being able to take that credit card maybe made it a little bit less awkward. Getting the
Yeah.
collection bill is never fun.
So I feel the same way. I hate asking people for money, and it doesn't matter that it's money that they owe me. It's just asking for money, and you know, knowing that somebody might be in a position that they can't pay. So if you give them the options of all the different ways to pay, one of those options is going to work for them. So then I get paid and I don't have to be chasing them around for money and asking them for money. The other thing about that 60 and 90 day, QuickBooks Online has a send a reminder email for your invoicing. So if I do get one that runs into 60 days or whatever, I send a nice little reminder email, and this is just a reminder to say, hey, this invoice isn't paid. Lots of times I'm finding people go, oh, shoot, I totally forgot about it, right? You know, they looked at the invoice. That's the other thing. You can, on QuickBooks Online, you can see that they looked at the invoice. So if they give you an excuse as I never got it, that's not true, because you can go in and look and see how many times they even looked at it. So if you sent them one invoice and they looked at it 4 times, it'll tell you that they looked at it 4 times. It'll give you the date, the time that they looked at it. So those excuses now are technically out the door anymore for people who haven't paid you, right? You still get them. People still do it. But yeah, with QuickBooks Online, you know exactly when you sent it, when they looked at it, how often you've sent it. It'll tell you if you sent 3 reminders, right? So I like that. I like to go in and look at that, because then you know who your problem clients are or your problem people. You also know who your good ones are, right? And like I said, I've billed before where I've been paid before I finished my billing out. So yeah, so I like that.
Yeah. So I hear CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, has finally come into the 21st century and are a little bit more open to other ways of making payments to them. I'm not even sure what they all are now, Karmen.
Okay, so of course you can send them a check if you want. The other thing that you can do is you can go in and they have an Interact site you can use to pay from your bank account. But if you want to pay from your credit card, you use Pay Simply. They have that option too. It's called Pay Simply. You can go in and just follow all the prompts and pay it that way on your credit card. Because at first they weren't taking credit cards, but now they're using this Pay Simply, it's called. And yeah, and you just go in and pay your CRA bills, your GST, payroll, corporate tax, anything that you technically owe
Personal
them.
tax?
Personal tax, all of it. You can pay it all through there. So Pay Simply. You can go Interact. You can do it through your bank if you're set up to do it through your bank. Or you can send them a check with whatever works for you. So again, they've given you lots of options to pay them, right? And I know a lot of people go, oh, they can wait. Well, you can't keep letting them wait. They have gone very aggressive and they are garnishing bank accounts and wages. So be very careful about how long you let CRA wait, especially if they've made phone calls to you and demand letters to you as well.
And if you've made a payment plan with them and you don't keep it, they get even more aggressive.
Absolutely. Yep.
I have seen CRA go after your customers. So can you imagine the situation you would be in if your customer or client got a phone call or a demand to pay from CRA that says, oh, the person that you owe this money to isn't paying us? It doesn't necessarily bode well for your business acronym, does it?
No, and those kinds of things can happen. And if they do happen, you can count on losing that client for sure. They're not going to continue with you if they have to send that money to CRA. So that's really what it comes down to. So,
and you just said it, oh, CRA can wait. And I know you didn't say it, your clients say it to you.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily the best tactic, is it? Many times you're better off to pay your CRA debt and negotiate some other bill. And what is the reason for that, Karmen?
Well, what we just talked about, the garnishees, checking your client. I mean, in the worst case scenario, they can seize your properties, right?
Yeah.
They have a very lenient area to work in. I mean, it does take them 2 or 3 months to get the legal paperwork in place, but they can absolutely seize your business, like right out from under you, and leave you sitting on the street. So it's not necessarily in their best interest, because now they have to try to get rid of the business, but it is something that they can do. So you're right. At the very least, you should make a payment plan
And stick to it.
and stick to it.
To it.
Well, so that's the other thing, is when I'm talking to someone who owes CRA a lot of money, right? I say, okay, we need to make a payment plan, but we need to make the payment plan one that you can afford every month. It has to be done. So if all you can afford is $100, they're going to complain and bitch. They're going to, excuse my language, but they're going to complain and carry on. That you're only paying them $100 a month on a $20,000 debt. But that's what you can afford. And then you know that you can give that to them every month. And there's no chance that you're going to miss a month of $100. Because if you miss 1 month, that gives them an in to take whatever they want. Right. And I've had a couple clients that made the payment plans with them, and they've actually garnished it anyways, which I think they can't do. But they did it. But I'm not positive the reason is that he didn't maybe miss a payment. Anyways.
Even a day late gives them that leeway to
Yeah.
just step in. So, if you have a bit of a delay between your bank and what they receive, it's enough for them to be able to step in and say, oh, you missed your payment plan. No, I was a day late. But by the time you're there, they're done talking. Like, they are just aggressive.
Yeah, they are. They're very aggressive, and they become more and more aggressive recently, I find. It's almost like they're trying to catch up from the pandemic, quite honestly. Right. The thing too is trying to get them to do something on their end that you need done, though, is like pulling teeth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've needed to get some authorizations that required, excuse me, that required a will, death certificate, those kinds of things. I've sent that in. That was all done. Now they want me to resend, because the social insurance number wasn't on all the pages, on each and every page. So like, if the will was 12 pages long, it had to be on each and every page. My understanding before was it just had to be on the front page. So, because it was one document.
Right.
But now they're required. So they're finding reasons, CRA is finding reasons not to do those kinds of things for you. So you need to make sure that all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed before you send anything to them, right? Otherwise, it takes forever. So,
yeah. And I want to circle back to the CRA, and one of the reasons that they should be high on your payment list, and that is the way they calculate the interest.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't pay a lot of attention to it, but it's fairly high, especially on trust accounts. And your trust accounts are your GST account and your payroll account. Those accounts, it's hard for me to explain that to my clients. Those accounts in particular don't actually stay with the government. The payroll account, for sure, that money is there to pay your employees that may get a refund when they do their personal tax returns. Also, that money goes to unemployment insurance and Canada Pension Plan. So those are trust accounts, and that's why the interest, is so high on them, or is calculated the way they do. Oh, excuse me. but I lost my train of thought. CPP and EI, right?
Yeah.
The GST technically goes into another account. It's held with the government, but it is for specific reasons, right? Like they've ear tagged it. That's why it's considered a trust account. So they will go after those way before they'll go after your corporate tax or your personal tax. So
yeah. And they're kind of sneaky people sometimes. So I've had lots of clients in the past that'll phone me up and say, you always told me to pay my payroll and my GST first and not to pay my tax. If I can't pay it all, don't pay your tax, pay your trust accounts, right?
right.
And CRA will be negotiating with them on a payment plan, and they'll be getting them to pay all the tax and not the payroll and the trust accounts, because then they can come back and say, well, we need payment on this trust account, and we have better collection rules on that. And so it's really, really important to talk with your bookkeeper or your accountant or both prior to making a deal with the CRA.
Correct. And I mean, they're told on their end to get the corporate tax first and then
Sure.
worry about the trust accounts. We tell our clients to worry about the trust accounts and then worry about your corporate tax. And it makes perfect sense that they would go the way they're doing. And you're right. I don't know if it's sneaky. It's just not public knowledge, right?
Right. Yes. I use the word sneaky because to me it's kind of backdooring somebody that isn't that knowledgeable. And so before you make an agreement like that, you should always talk to somebody that has your best interest at heart and never assume that the CRA has your best interest at heart.
So what I tell my clients is if you get a phone call from CRA and they want you to set up a payment plan, get all their information, right? And tell them you don't have time to talk to them at the moment and that you have to figure it out, and then call me and give me their information. On numerous occasions, I have phoned CRA and said, I'm calling on behalf of my client. What kind of payment plan are you looking for? And for what accounts? Right?
Yeah.
So then I go back to my client and say, okay, here's what you need to do. This is what you can afford. This is where you want it to go, right? And so how are you planning on paying it? Are you planning on giving them a check? Because if you give them a check, if you write the account number on the bottom, right, and you make sure the RP or RT or RC, whichever, is on that check, they have no choice but to put it to that particular account. If you're going to pay online, same thing. Make sure that it's going to the right our account, technically, RT, RC, or RP, whichever one. But you should be paying your thing. And when you make your payment arrangement with them, make sure they know that you're going to pay your RT account or RP account first. Right.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, there are times when the debt is so big, either with CRA or combined, that clients should be talking to bankruptcy trustees, firms that help out with that. And they are there to help you. But again, they should be talking to your bookkeeper, your accountant. They shouldn't just be talking directly with you, because they need to know the big picture, and sometimes they don't get it all. And sometimes you need to pull in corporate or business debt with personal debt to deal with them. Am I correct?
You are. Yeah, you are. Normally any of my clients that have had to do that kind of thing have talked to me beforehand, and we've sat down and listed everything that we should include. A lot of them are doing the instead of bankruptcy, they're doing the proposals, right? A lot of them are doing those. Yeah. It seems to be quicker and a little bit easier. You know what, no matter what you do when it comes to that, your credit is done for 7 years, right? You can start building it within a year, but that's going to sit on your credit rating for 7 years. So getting any kind of major loan, so that's always an issue, right? And anymore nowadays, you have to personally guarantee every corporation. So if you're a shareholder, if you're a director, you are going to be held responsible personally, no matter what. So if the company is going bankrupt, so should you.
Yeah.
So
And if
otherwise,
you are, and the flip side of that, and I don't know how this happens, but we've had a couple of clients in the past that they went bankrupt personally, but the corporate debt didn't get pulled into it, or the Alberta debt didn't get pulled into it, and just the CRA debt. And this is why you really need to talk to your bookkeeper and or your accountant to make sure that all of your debt is included, because lots of times I find small business owners don't think of their business debt as their debt, but it is, because you've signed a personal guarantee or you're still on the hook.
yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. They need to talk to their accountant or their bookkeeper, or at the very least sit down and do some brainstorming about what debt they have, like corporate, personal, even their spouse, right? Because I've had where one spouse has gone bankrupt, but not the other, right?
Right.
So, what do you want to pull the spouse? Because if both your names are on it, then it becomes a sticky situation, right? Such as a home mortgage. So the husband wants to go bankrupt, but the wife's name is on the mortgage, right? You don't want to put that mortgage inside that bankruptcy, right? So you do have options when it comes to bankruptcy. I'm not a trustee. Please don't take my word for it. Go talk to an actual trustee. But I've been through it, been there, done that. And I have a fairly decent idea of what you can and cannot, or what you should or should not do when it comes to bankruptcy or even a proposal. So, yeah. So, been there, done that.
Yeah.
I want to do it again.
And it can happen so quickly when you have your own business, you have no other income, you have nothing else to pull from. So if all of a sudden you lose a major contract, a major client, it might not be through any fault of your own, but you can wind up in that position. And lots of times it's trusting the wrong people. It's having the wrong partner. It's lots of things. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what happened with you.
Yeah, well, I sold you my business, right?
Yeah.
My venture to when I left, like after I sold you my first business, we decided to buy into a service business, a restaurant, a gas station, a bar. Two things that happened. First of all, well, three or four things. It was going fine for the first year. Then I found the fuel company that I was dealing with was shorting me on my fuel, 1,000 gallons a month, which 12,000 gallons, and you know what fuel is worth, right?
Yeah.
So by the time I'd caught it, we were $75,000 under on that. And so that was the first thing that happened. Second thing was we bought a bar, and I have an alcoholic husband. So that didn't help. I mean, he's a recovering alcoholic now, but at the time he wasn't. So that didn't help. And then the next thing, we had gone to our local community futures group to get a loan to get new tanks in, because I kicked the other the fuel people out and had signed a contract with another company, and everything was going well. We got our loan, got our tanks in, got them all set up. We're just on the verge of getting out of debt, right? The lawyer, now we have no idea where this all came out of, but the lawyer who had done up the papers for the Community Futures Group decided she called every one of our suppliers, everyone, not just one, but everyone of our suppliers, faxed them off letters, told them that we were going bankrupt, which was not true. But the minute that happened, our suppliers would not supply us anymore unless we had cash in hand. And that wasn't going to happen when you think that one tank of fuel that we had to buy was $80,000. It's not like I had $80,000 in cash. So I went actually to my lawyer to find out why, if he could do something. I spent 3 weeks absolutely sick to death, um, trying to get this fixed. We had no idea why she did it or what reason. And we went back to the Community Futures group. They have no idea. All she was the lawyer who'd done the papers up. She had no interest in our business or into the Community Futures business, right? But that's what she did, and it put us under. It bankrupted us, right? 3 weeks is all it took to bankrupt us. And yeah, it was terrifying. We left that business with a car and $600. I made sure all my employees got paid with whatever cash I had left, and $600 and a car, and we moved to Rocky Mountain House, and we lived in a borrowed holiday trailer for 5 months, right? And then I got the job with this CA firm here in town, and then everything went up from there. So I suppose when you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So yeah, it was a good move for us here. I think I would have ended up getting really sick where we were before with that business, always having to fight with somebody. And that was just, one thing after another. So yeah, we've been there. I've done it. And like I said, my husband's a recovering alcoholic. He at the time was quite an alcoholic, and then he got really sick on me. So he near died, but he got his things together, and he's working, and he's doing well. We're doing well here. So we think this was probably the best move for us. So yeah.
I think that what I take away from your story, Karmen, is you still can't kick the entrepreneurial spirit out of you. You're still working for yourself. You still got your own business.
I guess. Hey, I just that's just something that I have done for as long as I can remember. People ask me about whether I'm a CPA. I'm not. And that's okay. I'm quite happy. I've been doing this 30 some years. But before I even started in this position, I did go to school, and I do have a ticket. But you're not going to believe what it's in. I have a dressmaker's ticket. I'm a dressmaker.
I have never seen you ever.
Pardon me?
I've never seen you wear a dress, not ever.
Nope, but I do.
Okay,
I have a
yep.
dressmaker's. I've done wedding dresses and bridesmaid dresses and clothes for all kinds of people, kids, people. But this is my passion. This is what I enjoy. Yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur for very many years. My kids were really, really little, like babies when I was a dressmaker. But yeah, this has been my passion. I've found my niche, and I really enjoy it. I'm a people person. We talked about the social aspect of working at home, and you don't get that. Like if you're not working in an office, you don't have coworkers to go stand in their office door and chit chat at coffee time, or clients coming in to see you constantly. You don't get that when you're at home. And when you're a social person, and I am, right? You need to have that social interaction. You do need to have it. So being a traveling accountant has fixed that for me, right? Because I get to go to their homes. I get to see what they do. I get to see how things work on their end. It also makes me very more aware of what kinds of problems they're going to have, or what kinds of problems they do have, or some of the things we can fix. So that helps them, and it helps me. So yeah.
So because we're both passionate, I want to show you what's out now. I've finally finished up the Cash Flow Club book, and it's out. It can be bought on Amazon. And this is one of those tools that I think every small business owner needs to have. It highlights a lot of the things we've talked about, like getting your money in and all of that.
So what's that cost on that book?
$25, $24.95, I believe.
And you can have it shipped.
And you can have it shipped. Don't you ship it though, because you're getting one courtesy Thank you for what you have done for us. But it's a playbook. So the idea of this is that this isn't the book. The book will get added to periodically.
Sure, things change.
As things change, as people ask questions, like there's no accounts payable, no accounts receivable in the book. Because more important than getting the book right, which would take 2-5 years, I don't know, because everything always changes. I wanted to get it out there. I wanted to get it into small business owners' hands. And to do that, it had to come out not perfect.
Well, there's fundamentals. No matter what, there's fundamentals. It doesn't need to go over all the details. It's the fundamentals that make all the difference. Like you said, about getting your money in, about getting the billing out, about making it easy for people to pay you, right? Yeah. Those are the fundamentals. Those are things that doesn't matter how you do it, you need to do it,
yeah.
right? So,
yeah, absolutely, right? And yeah, so it's important that business owners worry about their own business. They need to work on their business, not just in their business. And too often, I know Karmen and I were guilty of this for years and years. Never mind, we'll get our invoicing done when we get it done. Let's get this other deadline met for the client. Well, if we're not efficient in what we're doing and not working on our business, how are we going to help other people? But that's the nature of people that want to help, is that they always put their clients first. And
correct.
Sometimes you have to be your client. You have to look after your business.
So one way to look at that is whether you're a corporation or not a corporation. When you have your own home business, you're an employee. Yep. Right. And if you don't get paid, you're not going to stay at that business very long, are you?
That's right? Exactly it.
I'm not going to work for someone who doesn't pay me. So, so you have to, the mindset has to be changed. Yes, it's your business, but no, you can't leave that. You have to get paid just like everybody else. And so you have to change the mindset. The mindset has to be you're an employee of your business. Simple as that. Not that you're an owner of your business. The owner part comes at the end of the year when you see your profit.
Right.
Right. That's the owner part. But the month to month is an employee part. And if you change your mindset as a business owner, if you change your mindset to that month to month you're an employee, that you only become the owner at the end of the year when you do your books up to take to your accountant or take to wherever, or in my case, do it myself. That's when you see the owner part, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a sole proprietor, whether you're a corporation, whether you're a partnership. You have to consider yourself an employee of your business right up until the end of the year. So
yeah, absolutely.
So then you get paid.
Yeah. So I hope you'll come back, Karmen, because I had other things I wanted to talk to you about, one of which is CRA audits and the trauma that can cause for a small business. But I feel like we're over time today, so we'll need to come back. Would you be open to that?
Sure. Oh, of course, Linda. Anytime I get to talk to you would be great. So
thanks very much, Karmen Fossen with Cardana Accounting.
Bye, Linda.